Welcome back, comrades. This is Gaming with Austin, and today we're on episode 6. Here we are. What we need, there are some topics we're gonna talk about today, this episode. As I've done, I downloaded The Sims 4 onto my computer. Let's get things going this episode. You know, some people who promote capitalism believe that capitalism is biologically appropriate. Have you? Because in the world of biology, though, eventually, sometime in the future, we may not have wars over territorial expansion or geopolitical rivalries, but we might end up having wars over vital resources that are vital to the survival of the species. Before we had computers, paying bills was a pain in the butt. We're supposed to make we've been trying to make our lives easier for millennia. The first stages was when we started going from hunter-gatherer to agriculture. Which means the more abundant the food is, the less work you would have to do to get it. Because some of it would basically replenish itself. Some of that food would actually replenish itself. Even if we stop fighting war over territory or over political ideology, the wars of the future would probably be fought over natural resources. Especially food and water. Yes, even resources that are needed to build our houses. The first signs of it are already happening, with sand mafias forming around the world, trying to take control of the sand supply. I have a pretty good solution to that. We could dig up desert sand Melt it, heat it up until it becomes glass, then grind it up into beach sand until it reaches the consistency of beach sand. Then use it to make concrete. Because, you know, the world is literally running out of sand. Like, the sand must be... we could use desert sand, but, you know, the particles are... the sand particles are too fine to be used for concrete. It needs to be coarse like beach sand. If we're gonna use desert sand, we could just put buckets of sand, use those buckets, fill them up with desert sand, put it into a forge until it melts into glass. Yes, glass can actually melt when temperatures get hot enough. Glass breaking is actually a physical change. How will be able to get the resource? The sand, like glass, can be made from desert sand too, because any sand can work when it goes to making glass. Or we could just demolish old buildings and use those materials to build even taller buildings. Basically, material recycling. Ways how we can prevent water wars. We gotta reverse climate change. If we want to reduce the risk of a water war, the best thing to do is go vegan. When there's not enough of a specific resource, we have no choice but to fight over it, as with all animals. Unless our metabolisms are slow enough. Like, those with a slower metabolism usually end up not needing as much food to survive. But those with a rapid-fire metabolism tend to be more inclined to steal. They tend to be more inclined to steal out of need. Those with a greater physiological need for food tend to steal. Their motive for being greedy. Sometimes your motive for being greedy can be your physiological need. Imagine a mischief of mice in which the entire mischief weighed about 165 pounds, which is about how much I weigh. The entire mischief, weighing about as much as I would have to have a lot more food to survive. You know, a group of humans is called a collective. Or family. A group of families is, like a small group of humans is, that share a common ancestor, like, directly, is called a family. But the more distant the ancestor becomes, less related they become, like, individually. Like, until, like, we are all related to each other to some degree. To prove that, there's scientific evidence of the mitochondrial Adam and Eve, which appeared on Earth several 100,000 years ago. Probably even long before Homo sapiens. Our violent behavior, we are not alone when it goes to our violent behavior. Predators use their violent behavior to hunt. We use it to hunt sometimes. Most law-abiding citizens use our violent behavior to hunt. For cats, they live the way of the warrior. That is because they are obligate carnivores, meaning they must have meat in their diet to survive. If you put your cat on a vegan diet, you're literally killing your cat. But if you put your dog on a vegan diet, do it at your own risk. When you start a business, like, I advise that you shouldn't start a business or even run a business, because your decisions may have an impact on your business. The only way to keep a stable economy, to make sure we don't resort to over-exploiting our goods, is economic democracy. An example of authoritarian democracy is America during the Cold War. How is it an authoritarian democracy? Yeah, you still had the right to vote, and still made the choice on who you voted for, but at the same time there were lots of political repressions going on. The reason Russia couldn't achieve true communism, that is because there wasn't enough resources for everybody. That was probably because there wasn't enough resources for everybody. When you remain healthy, like, if you stay in tip-top shape at all times, the dollar would have more value to you. And instead of buying junk food with that dollar, you'd be buying healthy food. Like, in the long run, in the short term, being healthy is kind of expensive, but in the long run, you're going to be saving a lot of money. It pays off. It will ultimately pay off in the long term. When it goes to buying a house, my advice to you, if you want to buy a house, is to save up all your money into a special account. Like, exchange it to Bitcoin, or something like that. The reason we're going to have to start turning all the buildings into one gigantic skyscraper My critique on why we need to do that. I'm doing this as part of my global rewilding effort that I might think about planning on doing once the bourgeoisie has been overthrown. If a skyscraper was to house 1,000 permanent residents at any given moment, it'd probably have to have about 6,000 residents at any given moment. We would have to have at least 1,000 acres of land. Want to know what can cause... Since, eventually, we're probably going to achieve political peace ultimately, along with social peace. Eventually, will World War III be fought over? Probably be fought over water. And the natural resources we need. We would have to fight over the natural resources. Like, US would fight Mexico over control of the water supply. Like, World War III would be a war that would be fought over control of food and water supply. Over food and water supply. America would break out into another... America would go into anarchy. Literally, America would go into anarchy. If we go into anarchy, stay with the group. Try to form treaties with other groups to ensure that we don't wage war against one another. But you know, wanna know what can cause the treaty to collapse? Like form... Intercommunal... What can help achieve eternal peace? Intercommunal unions. To where at least two communes form a confederation. If we want to prevent future wars, we gotta find ways to control population growth. And let the food supply and water supply catch up. Let them catch up. Some people believe that vegans will die from malnutrition if they go vegan. This is not true. I myself am a vegan. I'm pretty healthy. Albeit a little kind of skinny. Yet healthy at the same time. You know, study suggests that wars of the future would be fought over water. Within the next couple decades, there'd be about a 90% chance that World War III would break out. Within the next couple of decades. Unlike World War I and World War II, which were fought over geopolitical tensions and territorial control, World War III would be fought over control of natural resources. I have a solution that can help prevent World War III from happening. Because that would probably be our worst nightmare. One of the theaters of World War III would be the Great Nilotic War. It'd be called the Great Nilotic War. Like, this is entirely speculative. But if we don't do anything about climate change right now, we're fucked. We are fucked. When it goes to copyright law, I believe we should shorten the copyright term to when all the developers, the one who contributed to producing the film, yes, even the actors, like, the copyright would last until all of them will have passed away. Then it would go into public domain. Or maybe it should go into public domain within about 60 or 70 years of it being published. You know, vandalism, stealing, and copying, like, when you vandalize, that object gets destroyed, no one benefits from it. When you steal, one person benefits while the other suffers. But copying, the original product is still there. They might both benefit from it. I believe that we need to repeal all our copyright laws, and instead we should go towards copyleft. Like, to where the state would own, like, it would be owned publicly. Where it should be under public ownership. When it goes to downloading stuff from the Pirate Bay, you gotta be very careful. If you're gonna pirate a movie, it doesn't matter if it's illegal or not, you gotta be very careful. If you're gonna pirate a movie. I believe that we should reduce our term limit from 2 terms to a single term. Also reduce the term duration from 4 years to 2 years. And for a very good reason. This is to prevent politicians from taking too much power to themselves. That we also need to limit the power of the top 1%. In fact, the power should go to the workers, because they're the ones that they are the ones that keep society functioning. Without farmers, we're nothing. Except for hunter-gatherers, and that's about it. With lions, they kill the ones that are not as competitive. With lions, they want competition in the species. That is because they are obligate carnivores, which means their food source is very scarce compared to us. Per capita. I know a way how we can put, like, if we go into state capitalism, taxes would literally become obsolete as the government would be the one making the profits. If we want to stop homelessness, we gotta break the cycle. Automation forces people out of their jobs. They end up losing their home as they cannot. Their home goes into foreclosure, or they get evicted, depending on if they own the house or rent it. They struggle to find work, which means businesses ultimately fail. Which means they would force more workers out of the job. It creates a runaway effect. If we want to stop the runaway effect, we got to abolish capitalism. In human history, it's not just driven by greed and imperialism, it's also driven by class struggle too. Like, it all started off with a slave and a master, then the serfs, and the lord of the land. Then, the proletarians and the bourgeoisie. Like, the working class and the capitalists. The workers versus the capitalists. Who do I consider a capitalist? Like, when it goes to a person, all the people that rule countries with an iron fist are considered capitalist. Because they make all the big bucks. I believe that if we want to keep people from being greedy, we gotta educate people. But you know, some people believe that greed is crucial to survival. Only in some circumstances it is. Like if there's a shortage of food or water, or resources that are needed to build shelter. How can we ensure that we don't have a housing crisis? Again, we're going to start building massive high-rises. Like, a couple of people should start buying a lot, then like, they should share a portion of the lot. as automation increases in capitalist countries, unemployment rate skyrockets, as well as income inequality. What is fueling income inequality? Automation is literally forcing people out of their jobs. They need compensation in the form of universal basic income. But the problem is, a lot of governments around the world cannot afford to do that financially, because there's a lot of people they have to provide money to. Right now, we're at about 7.5 billion people on Earth. We will have reached max capacity by the end of the century of 10 billion. Even plants have carrying capacity too. Animals eat the plants to keep the capacity under control. Water is a requirement by all life on Earth. When there's no moisture, life cannot. If you get rid of moisture, bacteria will die out without it. When there's no moisture, bacteria will ultimately die. Because even bacterium needs moisture to flourish. Anyways, this is it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you like this video. Dislike if you disliked it. Subscribe for more. Share this with your comrades on social media. As always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. And, last but not least, support me on Patreon to support my creations. Support me on Patreon. I encourage you to do it. As always, thank you for watching, stay tuned for more, and peace out.